McLaren-Honda. The Honda combination rumbles on. Sixth overall, 76 points in sixth place. Their best result, their two fifth-place finishes, both from Fernando Alonso, one at Monaco and the other one at the Circuit of the Americas. And it's going to be a very different McLaren team next year. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we've got to give McLaren some props. They were a lot better than they were last year, although then again, last year they were total trash, so what does that really say?
I really, like, my notes here just say it was a good step forward on the nightmare that was 2015, and it had to be. They had no choice. For, like, we talk about Renault's debut being disappointing. Honda's last year was an absolute dumpster fire. Like, they had to start turning this thing around now, given that they went with Honda to be like, well, this is our best chance of moving back towards the front. The nostalgia associated with it, the big-name drivers, and they finished 9th out of 10 constructors. It was pathetic. This year, a lot better, but, they started to get onto...
They're in the same position where they left Mercedes, where if they were still the same four teams running Mercedes engines, they're still in that same 4th spot.
Yeah, but they're still... They got to a lot better. And I think for me, what was quite significant is that Fernando Alonso really started to, and especially after another rough start, questions about whether he should retire or not, he started to kind of become more of a team leader. He outscored Button 2-1 across the season, which you don't kind of associate that sort of dearthing quality between the two of them. And it's almost felt like, well, you made a big play to get Alonso into this team, and he started to kind of justify his presence there, and it was almost like, okay, now we see what his benefit with. And I think him and Van Dorn combining next year looks good, because we saw a lot more of a strong, more sort of mature Alonso, more sort of adjusting to, okay, I am far away from the front, and this is not what I'm used to, but I'm going to make this thing work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be fair, most of the retirement talk came from me.
And
Johnny Herbert, in fairness. But yeah, I can't fault it. I think Fernando Alonso has actually had quite an underrated season. I mean, it's a thing where I can't believe I'm giving Fernando Alonso credit for being underrated in the grand scheme of things, but he did finish in the points.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get to it in our Christmas special, but based on what most journalists have said, I'd probably say you're not underrating him. He's just where he is.
Oh, we'll talk about that next week. I guess. But we'll have to see where that goes. But I mean, Nando, he did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, so 7 out of the last 11 races he finished in the points, including 5 times in the top 7. So it's definitely he was definitely punching above his weight in that car this year, and Jenson Button was comprehensively beaten by him this year, and it's probably for the best that Button hangs it up now, because, I mean, I felt like you could tell when Button announced his retirement, he was kind of mentally checking out. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
The man was drunk 12 laps after he'd finished his race. He stopped giving a shit some time ago, and by the time they were interviewing him after said race on Channel 4's broadcast, he was pissed out of his head, interrupting Ted's notebook. Does that seem like a man that is really excited about next season to you? No. Like, Button, I think mentally was already thinking about the next chapter for him. I mean, he's going to keep racing, and he's such a legendary figure of Formula 1, one of the real genuine great guys of Formula 1 over the last 15, 20 years. Such a brilliant personality, and one of the most just easy to like drivers I think I've ever seen in F1. Like, it's like, reminds you a lot of Rubens Barrichello, just guys that are just thoroughly likable, good people, and that in this sport is actually quite hard to come by, and it's a shame because, well, we've seen them like Rubens, like maybe just Felipe Massa as well, who's also retiring. We'll get to him in a minute. But Jensen's one of the real good guys, and it's a shame because it kind of papered over the cracks of what was quite a poor season by his standards. I mean, he had the 6th place in Austria, but that was about it for Jensen Button highlights for most of the season, really. And, Nando is still probably a top driver, just we can't really say for sure given the car he's in. And they got Stoffel Van Dorn, who did drive that one race for him in Bahrain and did score the team's first point of the year. So, I mean, that's probably a bright spot to go on for the future with Stoffel. I'm going to be very curious to see how he stacks up compared to, there's probably not a much tougher test in the paddock than going up against Fernando Alonso in a McLaren. So that's quite the yardstick for the young boy right there. So we're going to see how that goes. Rating for the team? 6?
I want to go 7. I want to go 7.
Okay, I'm going 7.5.
I was thinking 6. I think I expected them to be better this year with Honda, so I don't think it was that much surpassed my own expectations for them this year. So I'm going to be a little bit on the harsher end on this one and say 6.
Yeah, I would say they've met my expectations of where they were going to be. Maybe they were a little bit better.
I think people were sort of like, well, they have to be better, but will they? Do you know what I mean? So the fact that they were in the end, they were pretty, you mentioned it yourself, Dre, the fact that by the end of the year, you were calling people out for being surprised that they were getting it through into Q3.
Right, exactly.
Like, they've got back to a fairly, an all-right level now, which they had to. They had to show that level of improvement. But the fact that they actually did it, for me, I said, well, I say 7.5 on that one.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on that one, but I just find it annoying that people, I think, want McLaren to be better than what they actually are sometimes, but it's understandable. It's understandable.